Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech,
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
and welcome back to the snobOS show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. Definitely want to say thank you for coming back for another week of the snobOS show. This is episode 204. We definitely want to thank you for hanging in so long, listening, writing reviews, sending us comments via Discord, via Twitter, via social media. I actually have one review that I wanted to read,
Oh,
and
nice.
I'll read it a little bit later, but it kind of epitomizes what the show is about. So I kind of thought that was dope. So I'll try to fit that in a little bit later. But we definitely want to say thank you for those who stay engaged, who take it upon themselves to like the show, to rate their show. If you do definitely want to do that, definitely give us a like and review. Show us some love on YouTube. We put the shows up on YouTube as well. So wherever you can show us some love, please do so. We definitely appreciate those who actually show us some love with their pockets. Give us a little donation. If you want to be a financial supporter, please go to patreon.com/snoboscast. You can give us a little monthly donation, and in exchange, we'll give you access to our pre-show where we talk about things we want to talk about that we don't actually record for the public show. Give you a little bit of a thanks to actually, kick into some ducats. So we definitely want to say thank you for that. We're going to definitely move right into the show. We're going to start with the lowdown where we give you all things Apple. Last week, or was it a week before? I can't remember. But we talked about Apple announcing security keys, actual physical keys that you can use to authenticate your Apple ID for like when you log into a new device with your Apple ID, when you go to iCloud.com or you go to Apple ID in a new browser on a computer, all these things where you actually have to log in for the first time. In addition to doing two-factor authentication, you can elect to get a live security key. There's a couple manufacturers that do it, to where you can actually plug it into your MacBook, your laptop to authenticate who you are via these security keys. My question was, well, how do you do that with a phone? Do you plug the key into the phone? You in
Hmm.
USB-C? Is there an adapter? Whatever the case may be. And I found this story because it was kind of bugging me a little bit that I'm I'm an Apple dude and I didn't even know how it works. So I was like, you know what? That was kind of whack for me to kind of play the story to the left when it was in my face. So I did a little bit more research and I actually found a article about how the security keys work in general. Excuse me, but specifically how they work with an iPhone. And this story, we'll make sure we put it in the show notes, is from 9 to 5 Mac. They kind of go through and highlight how the hardware security keys work with, of course, like with your Mac. Like I mentioned, you plug it in when you need to authenticate via your Apple ID with a new device or to a new website or a new browser. But in the article, they talk about how it works on a phone. Like, for instance, if you get a new phone and you log into your Apple ID for the first time, well, are you plugging the key into the phone? Well, the trick is near field communication. So, the phones have the Apple Wallet where you tap to pay that uses near field communication. You have to buy a security key with NFC. So when you go set your phone up for the first time, you enter your Apple ID, it asks for the security key. You actually, like you're paying for something via Apple Wallet, you bring the NFC key with NFC close to the top of your phone and kind of hold it there. And that then authenticates who you are via the security key. So I just wanted to put that out there because, like I said, we are an Apple show. We are quote unquote Apple snobs. And I wanted to make sure I cleared that up because I was kind of foggy about how that worked. So, like I mentioned, we'll put a link in the show notes to kind of explain that. And I guess ask the question. I don't know if I asked this last time, but I don't see me using security keys. I like to think that my Apple ID password is strong enough and my two factor authentication is strong enough. And then I actually turned on, there was another security feature that came out before this that Apple utilizes to where you actually have to store your recovery keys. So I actually got a copy of those and I have those stored somewhere. So all those things add up to say, I don't know if I need security keys, but I just wanted to ask, is this something that you will eventually do, or you think this is for those, people who work in corporate, environments with Macs that their company may force them to use a security key like RSA ID?
Yeah, I don't think I need that type of protection on my personal device. I do see where it would be helpful, particularly in the corporate space, especially if you're working with sensitive data, if you're maybe working as like a defense contractor or you're working with, at a startup, those type of things where you want to make sure that your machine is protected, especially if you have something that if it were to leak, if it were to get out, then it would be a really big problem.
Yeah, so they kind of in this article in 9 to 5 Mac, they kind of highlight who is the ideal user for the key, and I'll just read this quote. To be clear, most users will be fine sticking with the standard 6-digit code based two-factor authentication, but for users with particularly high profiles, celebrities, government officials, people who opt in for the third-party hardware key support can strengthen account security even further because hardware keys are physical authentication devices that the users have in hand. They can prevent even an advanced attacker from obtaining a user's second factor via phishing, scam, or other attack. Because a phishing scam, basically, they kind of trick you into giving
Hmm.
up additional data. You don't have to worry about that if you have to have the key in order to authenticate. So they can fish all they want unless they jack you and
Yeah.
steal the key. That's the only way they can actually get access via this security key. So again, like you mentioned, celebrities do get hacked.
Yeah,
Celebrities do have
I hadn't thought about the celebrity aspect, but yeah,
and celebrities use
makes sense for them.
iPhones and they probably
Yeah.
use them just like we do.
And
And they
Max and
probably
everything else, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I could see them having a security key. It's a little extra effort, but again,
Their assistant can hold the key.
and not only that, I would rather jump through the hoops if I run the risk of somebody getting my, Apple ID, iCloud, and I'm
Hmm.
a celebrity and I'm a mega celebrity. And
Yeah.
again, I ain't
Or
no
trying to
mega.
break into your house because I think recently, like someone broke into Megan Thee Stallion's house. Somebody broke, I think, into a couple of other people's houses, like fairly recent, and like
Keanu
stole whatever.
Reeves,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
somebody tried to I don't know if they break in is right the word, but they wanted so weird, such a weird story. But the dude who was trying to access their property swears up and down that he is a relative of Keanu Reeves.
Oh
And the
no.
story that I read is he wanted to get a swab of his saliva or a lock of his hair to submit it to a DNA testing kit to prove that he is a relative of Keanu Reeves. Now, how he was going to get this stuff, that's where, all right, relax. You're getting a little creepy there. But again, all that to say around the world to say, as a celebrity, they use their phones just like we do, but
Yeah.
we have the luxury of people not caring that much about our data.
Yeah.
They don't.
Right. They don't. They have pictures,
Hmm.
videos, messages,
Hmm.
bank accounts, all that type of stuff. Yeah. And
Yep.
people are nuts. Side
Mhm.
note, there's this girl apparently on TikTok claiming to be the love child of R. Kelly and Aaliyah, and it's
Mhm.
pretty unhinged. Um,
Wow.
it's like one of those things where it's like, wow, like I hope she's on some sort of watch list. Fortunately, R. Kelly is in jail, so
And
she can't get
Aaliyah's
to him.
passed,
And Aaliyah's
right?
passed, so
S-
the only other people would be like family members of theirs. But I mean, still, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But this, some of the stuff, the videos she's posting, it's like, wow. I, baby, I want you to go get a diagnosis and get on some help, some
Well, that's
medication, some things. So,
and even if that's not the case, there are some people who just feel like they need to be a part of something bigger,
mm,
and they're willing
wow.
to go the extra mile just to be a part of something bigger, right?
Yeah.
They could be perfectly. Again, I'm not, I don't want to minimize, anybody's, health,
Health
mental
struggles.
health, or anything like
Absolutely.
that. But there are just some people out there who just will go that extra mile just to be a part of something,
Yeah.
and
Sad.
it's sad, but you gotta, as a celebrity, that's
That's
why.
unfortunately one of the things that comes along with it.
And so when we see celebrities, we're almost like, oh, we love you. Take a picture with me. And I want to, and celebrities be like, yo, can't do that right now
I'm with my
because
kids. I'm just trying to go
what,
to the doctor. I'm
because
just trying to go get something to eat,
they're hyper aware
Yeah.
of, there are some people out there who feel like they
They
are
know you.
owed,
They know them.
and they are owed something, right? So when
I
you,
buy your tickets, I go to your concerts, I
so
buy your
take a
albums, I buy
picture,
your clothes,
or
so
let
you
me
owe
talk
me.
to you.
Yeah.
And then
Let me
they, and
hug
then
you. Yeah.
and
You're my
then the
friend.
celebrity, and then the celebrities are like, no. And then that in and of itself,
Then
you
they get
hear
hit on
all these
social
stories.
media about
Right.
them
I
not
can't.
being their
eh,
fans and da da da
Right.
da
And
da.
there was
Yeah.
this one story where, I can't, I'm going to tell you the certain celebrity, they had a little funky ad. No, they have the right to tell y'all no, just like anybody else. And the fact that you think you are owed something because you are a
Yeah.
fan, because you bought some little funky tickets, because you bought a record or a song or whatever, or stream all their content, they are people, and they don't owe you nothing outside of what you already paid for. Just because you're a fan don't mean they owe you something. They owed you what you bought. Now go, leave them alone, right? Now, again,
Yeah.
notwithstanding, there are some jerks, there are some dickheads, there are some assholes who are
Absolutely.
celebrities, and those people should be called out. But, I don't think it's fair, and I digress, but I don't think it's fair that celebrities get called out of their name for owning their own space and having their own agency. Now, again, if they some buttheads, yeah, call them out. But
Yeah.
if they just tell you no, that don't
Because
make
they're
them a
because they're
jerk.
human beings and people who, could just be having a bad day or just don't want to be bothered.
Don't want to be bothered, right?
Yeah. And we all have those days. And we are not celebrities.
Right, right. All right, moving right along. Apple, I never really report on these, but it looks like this is something that Apple needs to pay attention to, or they need to make sure that this doesn't become a recurring thing. It looks like, according to this story, Apple has didn't hit their revenue targets as a result of earnings and revenue, right? So it looks like, according to the story, I think this is from Morningstar, which is a popular financial site. They missed estimates, coming in at $1.88 as far as share value, I guess. I don't know what that is, which is why I don't report on these. Versus there's a fact set consensus of $1.94. I'm pretty sure that's the share. So basically, what that means is
Yeah, per share.
Apple Apple projected that by this time their share would be worth $1.94 per share, but in actuality, that was $1.88 per share, which is a little under a couple cents, but that's enough for them to miss their earnings revenue. Another one said Apple reported a revenue of 117.15 billion, below the estimate though of 121.33 billion. A revenue declined by just 5%, but it's the worst since Apple's 2016 September quarter. Yada yada yada, some other stuff, other words, other numbers, right? So it
Yeah.
sounds like this earnings call looks like Apple's got some things they need to pay attention to, which may be why we're hearing all these rumors about foldable iPads, and we're hearing these rumors about an iPhone Ultra, similar to like the Apple Watch Ultra that came
Mhm.
out last season. People are saying, we're having talks about the AR VR headset that Apple is, been working on, or reported to have
Mhm.
been working on. I think that's why we hear all these rumblings, to get people excited about new products that Apple may be coming out with, because it looks like they had a earnings estimate negative. Again, that's why I want to bring this up. They didn't lose money.
Right.
They made 117 over 117 billion dollars,
That's
but
with a B.
because they didn't make what they said they was going to make,
Forecasted,
forecast, that's the better word, forecasted.
guesstimated.
Right, right, that's a negative, seen as a negative. Let me
Yeah.
make $117 billion. I'm like, shut up, get out my face.
Leave me alone. But the thing
Right.
is, honestly, I don't think it's one of those things where they need to quote unquote be worried. I think it's just indicative of where the market is. Like
Right.
eggs are
Hmm.
$12, in
Hmm.
some places, you know, things that a bag of lemons is now like $6, so I
Hmm.
think it's everything has gone up. We
Right.
hear this
Right.
talk about inflation, we hear the talk, recession talk. So it's in the span of what they made as to what was forecasted, that difference, that loss of about 5.5% in the that's still under the inflation. I think inflation is like 7.5%. So it's still kind of like in the quote unquote safe window. So I
Hmm.
don't necessarily think it's anything Apple needs to worry about. I'm sure they're keeping an eye on it, but it's not like it's a drastic decline or is something just specific just to Apple, especially when you have Apple is one of the few big tech companies that haven't announced any layoffs, where you have
Hmm.
Facebook, you have Microsoft, you have Netflix,
Amazon and
Amazon, all these people,
mhm.
letting go tens of thousands of people. And you haven't heard that from them. And they're still, raking in big money. So I would start to maybe wonder if it was like everybody else is doing well, or we weren't going into a possible recession, or if there wasn't, a high inflation. If we were
Right.
seeing these kind of numbers, then maybe it's like, that's maybe kind of a, reason to pause. But if you look at the landscape as a whole, it doesn't seem like it's something indicative that Apple is doing or not doing to cause this.
All right. All right. That makes perfect sense. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Like I said, it bothers me to no end that it's a negative that they didn't
Yeah.
make as much money as they said they was gonna make. Not that
Yeah.
they lost money, not that they didn't make any more money. They didn't make as much money as they said they was gonna make,
Yeah.
and they should get a slap on the wrist for that, which is crazy to me. But again,
Yes.
that's why I'm not a financier.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a couple of stories here to kind of go together. It looks like the folks in the ski mountains, the ski regions of the United States, Utah, with these popular slopes, it seems like a bunch of emergency SOS calls, fake emergency SOS calls, are coming in from the iPhone and Apple Watch, which are putting these 911 dispatchers and first responders in a bind because I don't know, skiing slopes back and forth, jumping off the ramps, falling, crashing, not crashing into a ravine or anything like that, but
But they just fall because they're
right,
skis. You're on these thin little things going
right.
down a hill at 20 miles an hour
Right.
on ice.
It seems like these are sending a lot of fake or phony crash detection calls to some of these 911, not 911, 911
911.
dispatchers. And somebody made a good point. They said, the point he was trying to make is like, all right, all of these 911 calls for these fake crash detections is tying people up to where they're doing on their daily basis is, managing crash notifications. Oh yeah, this is where it is. It says, my whole day is managing crash notifications, said Trina Dummer, interim director of Summit County's emergency services, which received 185 such calls in the week from January 13th to January 22nd. In winters past, the typical volume on a busy day was roughly half of that. Ms. Dummer said that the onslaught was threatening to desensitize dispatchers and divert limited resources from true emergencies. And this is the point I wanted to highlight. She says, Apple needs to put in their own call center if this is a feature they really want, she said. So basically, a lot of these places are getting inundated with fake crash detection notifications to where they're like, look, Apple, if you can be doing all this, y'all need to get it together, or y'all need to bring in, have a own in-house dispatcher for these crash detections. So that was just one story. And then just juxtapose that to this other story that I brought up, where crash detection is actually working the way it's supposed to work and even working a little bit better than projected. because according to the story in Apple Insider, there was a drunk driver busted after iPhone calls cops after crash. So basically, a 46-year-old man in New Zealand crashed his car at about 1 a.m. After detecting the crash, his iPhone 14 automatically called 111, the emergency line in New Zealand. The driver spoke to the dispatcher, told him, "Don't worry about it." But according to the dispatcher, the dude sounded inebriated. They sent the police
Mm.
out anyway. After the police showed up, he failed a sobriety test. And of course, drunk men do what drunk men do. He became unruly, pushing the police around, refusing to cooperate. So they lock him up, right? So that's just a juxtaposition to how crash detection, in theory, is supposed to work, even working better. Because again, what I mean by better is when you get into a crash, the phone or the watch detects a crash. They call 911 or emergency services. They're able to talk to somebody, or if not, they send the people out. Imagine if this dude who was drunk told
Continue to
them,
drive.
right, don't worry about it. The dispatcher said, "All right, you cool. Continue to drive," and did something worse,
Yeah.
possibly kill somebody. So getting this dude off the streets, is probably a smart move, especially when they showed up and he didn't want to cooperate and was pushing
Hmm.
people. So you can imagine how the potential could have been greater if he was behind the wheel.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put those stories in there to say, although, crash detection seems like it's flaking in some areas, in other areas is working as expected, if not better.
So this is what happened when you do innovation. You know, I don't know of anyone who's come up with something similar to this. Could be, I just don't know it, but this crash detection from Apple, which they touted, first it was roller coasters.
Hmm.
Um, Apple took that feedback. They tweaked the software so
Hmm.
that it would be a little bit more sensitive. And so now they know that apparently skiers kind of set off
Hmm.
some unintended alarms. So I would assume that they would take the information gathered from that and go and refine the software even more, the hardware even more. And it's again, this is what happens with innovation. You put something out there, you get it, you can only do so much testing, simulations
Hmm.
in a
Real
lab.
world. Uh-huh.
Right. But once it gets out in the real world, edge cases or situations that you wouldn't have thought of, when you're creating this comes out from real world use. And what do? You go and you refine it. Now, it'd be one thing if Apple just said, look, this is our software, this is our hardware. If you don't like what it's doing, don't use it. But they are taking it, the data, the information, and they're refining it to improve it. This lady talking about they need to open up their own call center. I don't know if she was being facetious or if she was just
Probably.
that frustrated.
Or venting, or just,
Yeah,
taking a shot.
for it to come out that way because, honestly, skiing, what if someone does have a nasty fall and they do need some
Skiing
help?
can be pretty dangerous.
It can be pretty dangerous. People die
Get
skiing.
in
So it's,
avalanches, get trapped under the snow,
yeah,
and
so it's one of those things where it could come in handy.
hmm
And again, they just may need to go in and refine it and make it a little bit more sensitive to some of the specific parameters that go into skiing that could be setting this off.
hmm oh, you're absolutely right. All right, so that's it that I had for the lowdown. We're gonna move right into second string. This first one, I put this in here because I had my big old rant a couple weeks ago about selling stuff online. Specifically, the things I was selling online was my older Sonos speakers
Mm.
because I wanted to replace them with HomePods because not only are they Apple, but they're easier to send music from my phone because I use Apple Music exclusively. In order to do it with Sonos, you got to open up the Sonos app. You got to find the music that you was listening to in Apple Music just to get it to play on my speakers. Well, with HomePod, I can just, AirPlay it or even touch my phone to the HomePod and transfer the music that way. So I had a big rant about selling my Sonos speakers. Well, it looks like Sonos is still trying to keep up. Well, not necessarily keep up, stay ahead of Apple by announcing a new generation of smart speakers. According to the story in The Verge, they're called the Era 300
Mhm.
and the Era 100. These will be smart speakers that are pitted directly against Apple's $299 HomePod that I just recently bought, and other smart home speakers from Google and Amazon. The flagship Era 300 is designed to showcase spatial audio music tracks and Dolby Atmos content. Both speakers have a completely new design compared to existing Sonos products. You can there's a accessories for like an $80 wall mount. Apparently, these speakers will be around $220 and will allow for 18 inches of height adjustment for
Hmm.
optimal listening. So again, like I mentioned, I went through all this effort to get rid of my Sonos products to buy Apple products, and then Sonos comes out with some new products that make me go, oh, well, maybe I should think about those as well. So I just wanted to put that out there, because like I said, I personally think that Apple needs to do a little bit more in the audio game since they
Mhm.
claim, they got Apple Music, the
They
one of
got
the
a
best.
Dolby Atmos, all
Right,
of these things, spatial
right.
audio.
A
Yeah.
lot of people listen to Apple Music. A lot of people stream music on Apple Music products. So it makes sense for them to come out with a line of speakers to combat Sonos, because Sonos kind
Mhm.
of corners the market with the exception like Bose, some of the higher end, but for like
Yeah.
regular consumers, Sonos kind of corners the market when it comes to entertainment speakers that are simple to use.
Mhm.
And I think a HomePod speakers that's just that, consumer grade speakers that are easy to use. So, I think Apple needs to step their game up a little bit more. Again, I mentioned in my predictions, one of my predictions is Apple takes a step further and comes out with a sound bar, a proper sound bar, because right now, in order to get, I don't want to call it average, in order to get a good speaker setup with HomePods, you got to buy two. You got to put them next to each other, and you got to put them in pair 'em in stereo mode, and you got to link them to your television. That seems like a
Mhm.
couple extra jumps. When Sonos, I can buy a sound bar, I can manually connect it using a optical cable to my Apple TV, or to my regular TV, and that's just how the music comes out. It just comes out through the Sonos speakers. And then if I want to do music sharing or whatever, I also have those options. Well, with HomePod, everything is wirelessly. You got to automatically pair it, and you got to which a lot of things can go wrong. With traditional sound bars, you plug it up, you turn
Mhm.
it on, you turn the music up, and you go on about your business. So I
Yeah.
hope Apple kind of does that, takes a step further, and comes out with a line of center channels and subwoofers and rear channels to kind of give you that surround sound experience with Apple products.
Hmm. How are you liking your HomePod, the big one?
I like it. I like it. I haven't had a chance to listen to it a lot. I kind of listen to it in passing because I'm
Mhm.
always busy. But one of these days, I kind of just want to sit down, make me a nice little cocktail, find me a new track, a new song to listen to, and really put it through its paces. But from what I've been able to listen to, it sounds good. It sounds nice enough to where I probably will buy one more and put it in my living room slash dining room area, and then take my HomePod minis and put them in the room so I can listen. Like I took one and put it in my master bathroom, and the
Mhm.
thing, the little
The minis,
mini,
they got power.
it sounds pretty good. I actually sold one of my Sonos one speakers and replaced that with the HomePod mini, and I can't really tell a difference. The Sonos is a little beefier, but for the size of the HomePod mini, I mean, it does what I need it to do. So
Yeah.
all right. So the next thing I had is everybody's talking about Chat GPT, and I read the story in the Guardian to where, of course, experts warn AI will likely kill off jobs, and not only kill off jobs, but widen the wealth inequality, right? Because there are people, there are companies that are going to be able to jump on this new thing, which I think that's why everybody's talking about it, is because it's so new and it's the new trendy thing. And with anything, there are people looking to take advantage of that. And the people that can take advantage of that have the resources, have the funds, have the money to start up these new cool companies, these new cool startups that take advantage of this new technology. And they are going to be the ones to benefit from things like ChatGPT, while the people who can't are going to be still stuck on the sidelines, being consumers and being able to take advantage of this while not being able to actually capitalize off of it. So I'll just read a couple of things here. But while many workforce experts say the fears of Chat GPT and other artificial intelligence technologies will cause unemployment to skyrocket or overblown, they point to another fear about it, AI, that it will create widen the U.S.'s already huge income and wealth inequality by creating new wave of billionaire tech barons at the same time that pushes many workers out of better paid jobs. And basically, what they mean by that is not your support staff, not your restaurant employees, not your hotel employees, because there are some jobs that are just impossible to replace with a robot. Those people will be okay. Again, it sucks that they aren't making a decent wage, but at the very least, they don't have to worry about some robot taking that little job, right?
Hmm.
What we have to be concerned about is people, who white collar employees that are doing jobs like data, they're number crunchers, that are people who, dig through code, things of that nature. These are some of the jobs that they are projecting that Chat GPT has the potential, not already doing it, but have the potential to kind of make these people, worried about, oh, am I going to lose my job on top of all the layoffs we just had? Now, on top of that, you got this new technology that's going to threaten to take away more jobs. So I just wanted to put that out there to get your input. What do you think? Is this something, you being in this field, do you see this being a potential, issue when it becomes to, you know, developers, when it comes to coders, when it comes to quality assurance, when it comes to all these different jobs, to where Chat GPT, OpenAI could possibly, mature to where it could compete?
No.
Okay.
And I say no for a couple of reasons. So let me preface this by saying anything when you look, you know, down the road, down the future, could have the potential to replace people. But what I think this particular thing is, and now because ChatGPT, OpenAI, AI in general is a really hot topic, it's one way to set off the alarms. Alarmists are going off. Oh, robots are taking over.
Mm-hmm.
AI is taking over. And I've said it before and I say it again. AI still has a human component. It's
Mm-hmm.
not as if,
They're
it
sentient.
just it's a
Mm-hmm.
sentient thing that just, manifests itself magically out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
These things have to be created. They have to be consistently trained, retrained. They have to consistently introduce new data sets because, as we know, people always say cash is king, data is king. This type of content, rules, honestly, it rules the world at this point because we have data points for literally everything in our society. So, what if there are any job losses? I think it'll come out nil because once you maybe drop down some jobs because of whatever AI interface over here, you're still going to need a human interface over
Mm-hmm.
here. It's just going to like shift the focus or shift the
Mm-hmm.
role or create new roles to
Mm-hmm.
manage this. Because we've seen with, I think it was CNET, they were using bots to create these articles and all the issues that came about. They had to have people to go in and fact check it. They had to go and then label the articles not being that they were written by an AI bot. So it's one of those
Mm-hmm.
things where could it have the potential? I guess in theory, sure, because we don't know where this technology is going to go. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. And as I mentioned before, it's one of those things where there's still human intervention, there's still human interaction. And I think any jobs that are lost, there will be new jobs created for the way that we work with this AI technology.
All right. All right. Very well put. Like I said, this is all new, so we're talking about it. Everybody else is talking about it. Like I said, people are trying to capitalize. So the people are all going to talk about the benefits, but we want, I guess, people like the sites like the Guardian are making sure that they say, hey, make sure y'all pay attention to the whole picture. So I guess that's the benefit, all the way around. All right, so that's going to do it for a second string. We're going to move right into for the culture and something that Nica likes to do every month for Black History Month. She's got a new a segment called Teching While Black. So why don't you give us the lowdown on this week's Teching While Black?
I almost missed it this week because it's been a crazy week that we will get into a little bit later. So this week I wanted to highlight Alan Emetich. He is credited as being the inventor of the search engine. Alan is a Canadian native of Barbadian descent. He
Mhm.
has undergraduate degrees in computer science and a master's degree in computer science. But what makes this so, I guess, intriguing is he invented the search engine, but this was before it was web focused, before we really had the internet. He kind of basically laid the groundwork of what we now have in Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever you use. He is the inventor of that. One of the things I do want to highlight, which is quite interesting, is that he didn't get a patent for this.
Mm.
He, I don't know why,
He
but
did it for the culture,
yeah,
and
he,
they burned him.
right. And now you have all these other companies making money off this. But he created and implemented what's called the Archie search engine, and it's a program that automated the process of course, finding specific pieces of software. So it wasn't necessarily on the scope of searching the internet because the internet wasn't really fully formed when he created this, but the concept, the premise of the search engine was created by him. And of course, he's been inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame because, of this invention. He was credited with um, chairing groups on the Internet Engineering Task Force, which included establishing the URL.
Hmm.
And he served on advisory panels for the National Science Foundation, Library of Congress, online computer library centers, and so much other things. So I just think it's really important to note that, as we celebrate Black History Month, again, Black people and their creations, their innovations, their creations are foundations for
Hmm.
what we have now and the
Hmm.
way that the search engine is it's second nature. It's pretty much, the first thing you go to do when you're trying to find something. And so to know that this man, this Black man, was able to create this, it's one of those things where it's pretty cool. And
Absolutely. Yep. Speaking of searching for things, the next part of For the Culture, we got a twofer here. Speaking of search engines, looking for things, trying to find stuff, why don't you give us a rundown, recap slash inside look on what it was like to acquire Beyonce tour tickets? For those who don't know, for those who are not Beyonce fans, she has announced a world tour and she's doing it a little bit differently. You got to jump through some extra hoops. You got to go through some additional processes. You got to go to different websites. You can't just go, well, eventually you do go to Ticketmaster and purchase them. But before that, you got to do some other verification processes online websites. So tell us a little bit about that process and if you were successful or not.
it was a very traumatic experience. Buying
Traumatic. Okay.
traumatic.
Okay.
Buying any type of concert ticket is always kind of, time consuming. Even before this, getting Beyonce tickets, it was a group effort and you had multiple devices, and tickets normally go on sale at 10 a.m. So you had to be online at 9, have all your devices set up at 9:30. So when you click that refresh, you were good to go. And that
Mm-hmm.
was, that was
S-
work.
Similar to buying an iPhone,
Hmm.
similar to buying some sneakers. You got to be
Sneakers.
on top
Right.
of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ticketmaster has pretty much a monopoly on the ticket buying process.
Mm-hmm.
They were called to Congress um, earlier this year, I believe, after a debacle with Taylor Swift and her fans trying to buy tickets through Ticketmaster. So, again, Beyonce hasn't toured in like 6 years, I think. So of course, and she had a big album. So it was like, oh my God, the world is giving us a gift, for those of us who like Beyonce and love going to concerts. And so when it first came live, the website tour.beyonce.com. Everybody was
Okay.
freaking out. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So it listed all the dates, all the
Mm-hmm.
cities,
Mm-hmm.
all the stadiums, and on the side of each location, it had a little button. First, it said, I think, register or click here or something. And then people were sending screenshots. And I went to the website. I didn't see that. I just saw the word soon. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. Then that next day, the soon changed to register. So
Mm-hmm.
you see the city you want to go to the show in, you click on the register, it takes
So
you to,
before you get any further, let me
uh,
ask a couple questions. Well, just one
okay.
question. How did you? What was your process for in real time learning or being alerted or notified when things change? Like you mentioned, the website going from uh, just going live to listing the tour dates to actually knowing or finding out that you had to register, and then the how did you know or what was your process for finding out when it went from coming soon to being able to register? Was there an alert where you just
No.
had to be sitting there all day? Give
It
us
was
that
Twitter.
process.
It was
Oh, it
Twitter.
was Twitter.
So
Okay. All
there are
right.
fan sites who are, if you go on Twitter, there's like a Rihanna daily, it's the Beyonce daily. So all
Mm-hmm.
of these artists have these fan sites that are daily sites and they update what's going on with them daily. Whether
Mm-hmm.
the artists themselves are producing anything, they go and just kind of do content. And the way that I found out about the tour was Instagram. The
Mm-hmm.
way I found out about because I thought I was tripping because I saw the guy post one screenshot and I was like, I went to the website. I don't see those buttons on my side. I see different buttons. So it's really crowdsourced on
Okay.
Twitter, the information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you click on,
So you think it? Do you think this is by design, or do you just think that's what you got to do in order to get the ticket, in order to assure yourself that you got the best chance of getting tickets, or do you think this is just
I don't think
that
it's by
is?
design. I
Oh,
think
you
she
think they
just
planned it? Okay.
I know
Okay.
I don't think they planned. I think honestly the icons changing, I think that was
Mm-hmm.
back end stuff because at one point,
Okay.
before it all went live, I don't know, me and my I used there were rumors that
Okay.
started the day before the tour was announced. Oh my God, the tour dates are coming, blah 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 blah. Because she posted an image, about the tour, but she didn't say anything else about it.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody knew when the actual dates were coming. So people kind of stalked the site. And
Uh,
so you went to the site was blank. And it was like, okay, so they must be updating it. And so then it's just those things of people posting on Twitter. And then you go into the website yourself to see what's going on. And that's
mm-hmm.
where I saw the difference. I'm like, this guy's screenshot doesn't look like what's on my screen. I was like, oh crap, did I miss it? What happened? So it's just, she's known for just putting stuff out there and then going about her business and letting
Mm-hmm.
you
Which is smart.
peasants figure it out.
Well, which is smart because you want to create
Buzz.
panic, not just
And that's what it
buzz.
was.
You want to create scarcity. You want to create panic to where
Yeah.
it's like, if I am not where I'm supposed to be, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, if I haven't followed the instructions, I'm going to miss it. And there's
Yeah.
no better way to get people to do whatever you want better than creating scarcity and
Yeah.
creating panic.
Yeah. Yeah. So you click on the register for whatever your city is. You go
Mm-hmm.
to a Live Nation screen
Mm-hmm.
and the tour is broken down to keep out bots and people just snapping up the tickets, which I
Mm-hmm.
think this part was smart. I just think the way it was handled was unnecessary. But it's like a group A, group B, and group C. So group
Okay.
A is
Like
like the first leg.
Southwest.
Yeah. Group A is the first leg of the tour. So it lists all of the cities in
Uh-huh.
that group and
Uh-huh.
you register, but you
Right.
couldn't register or buy tickets for groups B and C, which were the middle part of the tour and the end
Mm-hmm.
part of the tour,
Mm-hmm.
until after group A. So it's
Right.
one of those things where it's like you don't have all these bots, going just snapping up all the tickets in all the cities. You only have the sliver of time
Mm-hmm.
for group
Mm-hmm.
A.
Mm-hmm.
So you click on, they have three pre-sales that you could do. And doing the registering doesn't guarantee you a ticket. It just
Mm-hmm.
guarantees you're in the queue. So they had
Mm-hmm.
like a Beehive pre-sale, they had a city pre-sale, which I'm still mad at Amex that they didn't like come in and do that.
So are you a car carrying beehive fan?
So I am a Beehive member
Uh-huh.
because I've bought tickets to shows of
Okay.
hers before.
So
And so
is there like a in addition to that, is there like a membership beehive?
no.
I don't know what to call it. Is
Mm-mm.
there
It's just your
okay.
email. It's just like if you
Y-
buy stuff through her website
Through a
or if you
website.
buy tickets, yeah, it's just your
Okay.
email. It's just
All
your
right.
email. And
Got
the
you,
thing
got you,
with the
got you.
Beehive is you couldn't register for the Beehive pre-sale if you weren't already a member. So if someone said, "Hey, there's a Beehive pre-sale, let me go
Mm.
sign up," you
Let
couldn't.
you go buy something. Too late.
Yeah.
You got it already
Mm-mm.
been. Okay.
You had to already be. So then they had the Beehive pre-sale, they had the Citibank pre-sale, and then they had the verified fan Ticketmaster pre-sale. You could
Hmm.
only register
For one.
for one. And so that happened on last week. And so after you click the register, you got a confirmation email saying you are registered for the Beehive presale, for the Ticketmaster presale, for the Citibank, whichever one you were. And then
Hmm.
the message says, be on the lookout Sunday
Hmm.
for your code. And
Okay.
again, they said this doesn't guarantee that you will get
Jesus
a
Christ, man.
ticket. So
So
everybody's like
this is
refreshing.
the first time. So this is the first time where they give you a time and a date.
Right. This is the
Okay.
first time that this has happened. So if you were a Ticketmaster person, you would get an email.
Hmm.
If you were a Beehive person, you get a text and a link and a
Hmm.
code.
Hmm.
So Sunday night, everybody's because people watching the Grammys, they're trying to keep an eye on their email. Then you get an email that says it's coming. I got an email that says you're waitlisted. And I'm like, what
Okay.
the hell that mean?
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I don't waitlisted. What
Right.
is a
How am I
waitlist?
already wastelisted for something I ain't signed up for yet?
Right. So basically, when you signed up, when you registered, you put yourself in a lottery.
Okay.
And
A
it's like
lottery. Good
it's a
Lord, man.
lottery. So it's like if your name is pulled, then you get a code. And
Okay.
so it was three of us in a group chat trying to get tickets, me, my brother, and my cousin's wife, who's my cousin
Hmm.
now. We were in a group chat. So we all registered for Atlanta.
Hmm.
And then I was we were talking, was like, should we go ahead and register for the other cities? Because there was a time on those as well. I'm like, well,
Hmm.
does that mean if we register for the other cities, does it cancel out our first
Yeah,
one?
buddy. Those are
So it's just like,
questions.
I don't know.
Important
So it's like,
questions.
let's just go with this
Uh-huh.
first
Uh-huh.
one and kind of see
Uh-huh.
how it plays out.
Right.
So the tickets go on sale on Monday, this past Monday at
Hmm.
2 p.m.
Okay.
Still no code, still no code, still
You're
no
still
code,
waitlisted at this point.
still waitlisted.
Hmm.
So then my brother texts me. He's like, oh my God, I got a code. He was like,
Hmm.
what do I do?
You better buy as many
Because
tickets as you possibly can.
so then you have to put it into context finances. Can you afford to buy all the
You ain't got
tickets
time
on
for
yours
that.
at the one?
Look,
And
you ain't got time
so
for all that. Just pull
so
the trigger.
then so then he was like, I was like, well, he was like, well, can't you just put the code in your Ticketmaster? I'm like, no, it won't work that way. She
Because
said, Ticketmaster said,
it's
is
tied to
linked
your
to an
email.
ID.
Yeah.
So, and it's a link is specific to you. So I had to sign out of my Ticketmaster, log into
As
Ticketmaster as
him.
him,
Right. To
and
do
click
it.
the link. So
Uh-huh.
he's
Uh-huh.
at work. He goes outside because he was like, he couldn't even go into his office
Listen,
because
man,
he
I would
was
have
like,
took
it
the
was too
day
many
off.
people.
I would have took the day off. There was the iPhone 14 when that came out or came to Verizon. I was like, I ain't coming in today.
But yeah, so he was like, people were coming up to, so he went, he stepped outside. He was like, I just need, and people were still trying to come talk. He was like, look, I'm trying to get Beyonce tickets. Leave me alone. He's like, oh my God, okay, we'll leave you. So you click the code. We weren't sure if this was going to work. So I was like, okay, let me click the link because he sent me the text. I was like, I don't know, can you
Mm-hmm.
forward the text? Will that still work? I don't know. Because in the text, it had his email blacked out.
Mm-hmm.
It had like the first letter
Mm-hmm.
of his email and the last letter of his email at whatever, but everything in the middle was starred. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
it's preventing people from hijacking it or whatever because you
Right.
don't know what the full email is. So it
Right.
was very secure. So click on the link and then it pulls up the lobby. And I was like, okay, we're in the lobby. And then he was like, okay, click next. I click next. And it was like, oh my God, we're in the queue. And then it was like, it's 15 people in front of you, 7 people in front of you, one person in front of you. It's your turn. And so now we're kind of freaking out. And it's like, oh my God.
Just
So
pick
he,
something.
so we go in and
Uh-huh.
he was like, is it loading? I was like, oh my God, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading. Then bam, the tickets show up.
Mm-hmm.
So Ticketmaster is shady as hell.
Okay.
So when it opened up, I had selected 3 tickets
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, there are no tickets that match your description or your
Mm-hmm.
filter.
All
And
right.
so I did down to 2. Then all it showed me were like
Nosebleeds.
the VIP
Oh,
sections.
okay. The high
So
end
it was
stuff.
showing me the $1,400 seats. And I think
Mm-hmm.
there's like a place where you can sit on stage that was
Right.
like
So
3,500.
so let
And
me
I'm
ask you this before
mm,
you go any further. Did you have a threshold of what you were willing to pay and what you weren't, or did you just like, I'm just gonna figure it out?
I really didn't have a threshold, but one of the 3 of us did. So we kind of want to stay within that.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm like, oh my, he's on the phone, I'm on the phone, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, there's nothing left. It's only the VIP left. And so then I clicked on the screen and I changed the view. I took off the filter. I was like, don't give me no filter because all Ticketmaster initially put up were the packages. They were
Mm-hmm.
trying to force you
Get
into
people to
thinking
spend more
and
money. That's the
into
only thing that's
thinking,
left. Yep.
into
Uh-huh.
thinking that's the only thing left. And I'm like, man, are we screwed? Because I'm not paying this. This is
Mm-hmm.
insane. And
Mm-hmm.
so I took off the filter and I switched the view to the actual stadium. And when I
Mm-hmm.
started clicking on the sections, I
Mm-hmm.
started seeing the blue dots. The blue dots
Got you.
represent
Right.
these.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, look at this. I was like,
Uh-huh.
these suckers, they are really trying to scam
Mm-hmm.
Ticketmaster. Count your freaking days because it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the next stressful thing was, okay, where we want to sit. We had an idea of where we wanted to sit and the view that we wanted. So I'm zooming in, zooming in. I go to click on the seats. I say, oh, I see 3. I go to click on them. They disappeared in an instant. So
Damn.
then I was like, let me go to
That
another
is
section.
crazy.
So I go to another section and I see some more. And I was like, let me click on. I clicked on one. By the time I clicked on one, the other 2 on the other side were gone. I'm like, God damn it. And I'm like, this is insane. So he was trying to text our other cousin about the price because it was a little bit above, it was $50 above the threshold. And I was like, so if she doesn't want to do the $50 over, we're gonna go and get the more expensive seats that were because she had the
Because if she's
contract
already
ready,
out, ain't no sense of
right?
playing
Of
around on
missing,
the little. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
But she
yeah.
was good with the extra $50. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I got 3. So I click 3. And the thing is, you can't just click on it. You have to click each one, then click add. Click the button again, click add. And there's
Mm-hmm.
these itty bitty 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 dots. Even when you try and zoom out, they're super
Uh-huh.
small.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I clicked them, add to cart, check out. I added my credit card to his account. Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to use this card? Yes. Do you want to put in your what is it, the security code. Then
Mm-hmm.
here go Amex, and then me a text, is this you? Yeah, it's me. Go and approve that.
Man.
Click
Cause
final.
that has messed people up to where Amex is
Yes.
like, nah, you got to start over.
Get out of line. And so
Mm-hmm.
then it starts spinning, and my we're like holding our breath. I was like, oh my God, it's going, it's
Mm-hmm.
going, it's going. And then you get the glorious, your order is complete, the tickets get added to your wallet, and you're like, thank God. But the
But
thing is, we got Saturday tickets. I signed up for, because she added a second show. So her original
right.
show was only on that Friday, the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed up for the Friday, and I didn't get a code. He signed
Mm-hmm.
up for Saturday after she had announced it, after you'd already registered.
More
And
dates.
she added more dates. She's still adding more dates. I think she added a third LA show or something.
Mm-hmm.
But all that to say, we got the tickets, but it was pretty insane. Like, I think I mentioned the other week, we wanted to do like a trip wrapped in a
Right.
show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, the international stuff is even
Worse.
more. Yeah, because they didn't you couldn't pre-register for the international ones. So when you went to like register, it kept taking you back to the group A, group B, group C. I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing because I'm in the States, but I could still see the other shows. So the general tickets went on sale on Tuesday. And so I was like, let me just go and see what they have left. As soon as I clicked on there, I was 150,000th in the queue. There were 150,000 people ahead of me. And then
Mm-hmm.
below, they had a message that said, look, the only tickets we got left
Right.
are package tickets. So platinum, bada bing, bada
Mm-hmm.
ba. So basically the more expensive one is like,
Right.
if you want to stay in the queue with 150,000 people in
Just
front of
know
you,
when it's your turn,
just
you're gonna have to
know.
pay some ducats. Yeah.
Right. And then like I went today just to kind of see what the prices were. The prices for Paris were significantly lower. So,
Oh, were they?
oh my God, so much cheaper.
So
So
let me
the
ask you before you
cheapest
while you're
ticket,
looking it up, would it have helped to add some tech in here? Would it have helped if you had like a VPN to where you could fake a Paris address?
so I have VPN, and
Mm-hmm.
I was doing it from my phone, but I still couldn't. Maybe I should try that. But even I still don't think that would have worked.
Okay.
I don't think the VPN would have worked because I'm trying to think if I saw, because I was like, and that was my thought. I was like, maybe I need to do VPN. I was like, let me look it up to see if any of that would have helped. I don't think it
Mm-hmm.
would have, because the
Okay.
tickets just went. I logged on at 9:45, and
Mm-hmm.
by the time I refreshed at 10, all the tickets were gone.
Damn. Dang.
But yeah. And I think because the price of the tickets for Paris, the cheapest ticket is 79 euro, and the
Mm-hmm.
most expensive ticket for, not on like the stage or whatever is 200.
That's not
So
bad. That's not bad.
very reasonable.
And that's
And
pretty
so
comparable to US dollars, maybe
yeah.
$2 or
Yeah, maybe
$5 more.
20. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's one of those things where only group A has tickets. So group B and group C haven't gone yet. So all of this drama is just
It's
with
just for
group
group
A.
A. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, they're staggering the tickets. And
So go ahead.
so we were thinking about, because the thing was, if we can't get Atlanta tickets, let's try, after we got the Atlanta pre-sale thing and we knew we were good, and they updated like the FAQs, and they said you
Uh-huh.
could register for
Another
each you could
a
register
group.
for each group
Right.
if you wanted
Mm-hmm.
to, but that wasn't clear in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But Ticketmaster, being the shady boots that they are, it was supposed to be staggered registration, and the registration was supposed to close on the 11th for the
Mm-hmm.
last of the groups. They closed them all at the same time as group A. So even if you were, say, trying to get group A tickets and you didn't, you
Mm-hmm.
thought you had time to register for group
And
B and
wait
group
until the
C.
group B
Right.
starts.
But no, they close it, even though I think the group C tickets don't go on sale until February 16th. So it's
Mm-hmm.
every week. So we had the 6th for group A, and then 7 days after that, which is the what, the 11th? 6th, yeah. No, 13th. Whatever the week after Monday is, then
Mm-hmm.
group B, that's when they get their code
Mm-hmm.
to buy them. And then the following week is group C.
But you would already have had to have
Right,
registered for the groups. Now you
right,
can't register anymore. You just got to wait for your
right.
code,
Right. So it's if you if you didn't take the
the
smart
time
route
to
to
register for all of them at the same time.
right, but then at the
Hmm.
same time, it wasn't clear is that if
And
you
you didn't
register
know.
for multiple, if it would
Would they?
cancel out.
Yeah, right, right, right,
So if
right.
you weren't located in one of those cities nearby, you wouldn't register for another group because you didn't know if registering for another group would cancel it out. So he's like,
So
this one
adding
is
so
closest to my house. So
right.
let me
Let me
just
just
go with
stick
mine and
here
cross my
versus trying
fingers.
to yeah. So
Right.
another piece of tech, could you have used the iCloud hide my email function and created a spoof email that would forward to your Apple ID so you could use your real email for the city that you know you was going to go to.
Mhm.
And then of course you didn't know this, but you know, hindsight,
Hindsight.
could could you have made a spoof of fake, not a fake, a forwarded email address to register group B and then make another one for group C so it wouldn't, so like you said, the question of if you sign up for another one, would they kick you out of the first one? You know, maybe possibility would be to use hide my email,
Mm-mm.
create a fake email.
You couldn't use Hide My because for the pre-sale, it's linked for Beehive. For the
Got
Beehive
you.
pre-sale, it's
Got
linked
you.
to your Beehive email.
That
For
you
the
use in the
Ticketmaster,
past. Got
for the
you.
Ticketmaster one, it's the login you use to log into
To
Ticketmaster.
Ticketmaster. So you'd
Right.
already have had to done that with the fake
Right.
ID. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Got you.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So go
I
ahead.
get why they did what they did. They were trying
Mhm.
to help the fans, but it was so much lack of clarity
Pandemonium.
around. No, it wasn't even that because it's always going to be pandemonium. It for me, it was a lack of clarity. Like had
Right.
I known that I could register for one in each group, I would have done it because I was
Right.
already on the page. It's not
Right.
like it's that big of a deal, but
Right.
I wasn't sure. And then I was like, let me go to Twitter and see,
What people are doing.
what people are doing, what, the rules are, because the rules weren't clearly defined. And then you had to go to Live Nation to register, but
Hmm.
then you had to go to Ticketmaster
Hmm.
to actually purchase. So it was very chaotic,
Right.
and a lot of people, I didn't really see people posting that they got tickets
Hmm.
because a lot of people didn't get them.
Oh
They didn't
wow.
get they
Okay.
didn't get the code. And
Damn.
so again, out of 3 people
One
on
of
our
y'all
group
got it.
chat, me and my brother, all 3 of us registered. My
Hmm.
brother and I got waitlisted. Third person didn't get waitlisted, and then only my brother got the actual code.
Mm.
And so I know people I have relatives and friends in different cities that were trying to get them. They either never got the wait list or they never got the code. So one girl in Texas, she didn't get any of them. My cousin who's in Seattle, she got the wait list, but she didn't get the code. So it's just I think it was truly an automated lottery based system
Hmm.
where it
Random.
was just like we just put everybody in the blender and whatever pops out, that's what we go with.
So
Because
go ahead.
when the tickets went on sale at 2, and we were like, well, tickets are going to sell out and we're going to be screwed. But my brother got the code at around 5 that there was still stuff left.
Okay.
So it's the thing of he got the code like 3 hours after it started. But again, you have the Ticketmaster sale. So you have the Beehive group. So
Hmm.
those a lot of tickets. You have the
Hmm.
Citibank group, those a lot of tickets. And then the Ticketmaster group, those a lot of tickets. So when it goes on sale general, it'll be whatever's left over from those 3 groups. So people could
Hmm.
still get tickets
Right. Kind
based
of
on
like
what's left over.
kind of like what I did for the HomePod, right? So, when they announced the HomePod, you most people pre-order. I usually just pre-order one. And
Mm,
again, first come, first serve. The faster you get on the website, the faster you can add it to your cart. And there's all these little tricks about pre-adding stuff to your cart, save it to your favorites, all these
mhm,
things, right? You jump through all those hoops to do that. Then you pray that you get a ship date that's close to the launch date. So if it launches on Friday, you hopefully you get in fast enough to where the UPS or FedEx will get to your house the same day. If not, they push the date back, push the date back, push the date back, right?
mm,
You can not deal with all that, which is what I did for this HomePod. It's like, no, I ain't even tripping on all that. I ain't doing all that. When they hit the store shelves, I'm just gonna go to Apple and be like, I want a
mhm.
HomePod. So when the Apple store opened up at 10 o'clock
You was
on
there.
Friday of last week, I was there, and they were like, "How can I help you?" I was like, "Yeah, I would like to buy one of those iPods. I mean, HomePods."
HomePods.
And they had one, and I just picked it up and left
Yeah.
without dealing with all the rigmarole trying to pre-order and get ahead of
Mhm.
time. But the problem with that is you don't know. So it's
You
like
taking a
again,
chance.
the brilliance of all of this is it you automatically guarantee that people are going to buy tickets as soon as they possibly can
Mhm.
because it's you don't know, there's no dates when they tell you things are coming. You just got to be in the right place at the right time, and then you got to add some luck to it, and then you got to add some decisiveness, right? Because what you
Mhm.
can't be doing is once you get the code and once you
You
get
can't be
the
playing around.
you get into the lobby, you can't be, oh well, what if we sit here? Or will we be able to see if we sit here? And I don't know
Mhm.
if I want to sit. Mm-mm. Click, 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 click.
And honestly, we ended up I like to either sit on the floor. I'm a seat snob, so I like to
Hmm.
sit on the floor depending on the view or section 100.
Right.
So we ended up with section 200
Hmm.
but we got straight shot onto the stage.
Okay.
So we have those kind of tickets in our back pocket, and when the general goes on sale, I'll go and look and see if there's anything
Get
better.
closer, anything better.
Right. And
So
then
if
get
this
those
so
and then sell the
so you
200
bring up
one.
a good point. What is the process of individuals reselling the tickets? Is there a process for that? Is there what's
I don't
the
know. I don't know.
okay?
And the thing is, they were saying that I don't know. I'll say it's a rumor because I haven't seen anything to counter it. Is that you can't resell them for more
Than what you
than the
pay for them.
purchase price, and you
Hmm.
can't sell them outside of Ticketmaster.
Right.
So, say if you had like SeatGeek or SeatGuru or any of those other places,
Uh-huh.
you
Uh-huh.
couldn't take the ticket out of
Of
Ticketmaster to
Ticketmaster.
put
You
it
got to use
on
their
there.
system. Right. And I'm pretty
Right.
sure that was a what's the word?
Calculated decision.
Well, on Beyonce's part, that was probably a concession that she had to make to say, all right, well, Ticketmaster's like, all right, well, we'll let you do all this signing up and codes and wait lists and sections and whatever the case may be, but we need to guarantee that we're going to make the money if
Right.
people decide to resell these things. If we can't let our bots, which is my theory, is Ticketmaster themselves
Have
list
Ticketmaster bots.
have Ticketmaster bots. They list the items for sale. Their own bots
They
swoop
buy
in
their own, they buy their own tickets.
and then resell them to SeatGeek and all these other places or their own
I
site
100% agree with that.
for astronomical numbers, which is probably why Taylor Swift and them took them to court,
Yep.
right? So Ticketmaster's like, all right, you got us. We ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
But what you need to do is you need to make sure that nobody can sell these tickets outside of Ticketmaster.
Mhm. So we still get
If
the money.
right, so we get the money if they can't resell them because I'm pretty sure Beyonce and her team was like, no, we're not about to allow people to resell them to make a profit.
Yeah.
And Ticketmaster was like, all right, fine, but we can
Just
only
got to
sell
say
them
no.
on we can only resell them on our site, right? And she was like, all right, well,
And
cool,
let me just say, it was per ticket after we did the total and split it out. We had over 100, I think it was like $115 in fees alone from
Dang,
Ticketmaster.
daggone, 100
Yeah.
altogether or per ticket?
Per ticket.
Over $100 in fees per ticket.
Yep. Yep.
Dang,
Because
man, it's a
when
racket.
I sent the price of what what we had to pay each. It's like, wait a minute. That's not the price of the ticket that we saw. It's like,
Hmm.
that's the price of the ticket plus the services and the fees. I think
Ain't
it was like, it's like 100. I think it's like, it's somewhere between like 110 ish, somewhere in
dang
that rank
dong.
of services and fees.
So let me ask then, the process that you went through,
Mm-hmm.
the hoops that you had to jump through,
Mm-hmm.
the fees, the waiting, the angst, the anticipation, is that worth it? Was it worth it to know that you got the tickets at face value plus the fees or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You did you feel like this was more of a democratic process
I do think
versus
so.
how Ticketmaster normally does it? Like we said, we think it's a racket, we think it's a monopoly, we think they're buying up all the tickets and reselling them at astronomical prices. What you paid for them and the
Mm-hmm.
process that you went through, did you think it was worth it versus trying to do it the traditional way?
I think the process was worth it, but the caveat is had I known what I was going to go through up front, I would
Hmm.
have liked that clarity. I would
Up
have liked
ahead, yeah.
somewhere to say in the FAQs, you register first, you get this, what's going to happen? Because
Right.
it was all just
What
kind
is
of
the
flying by
process?
the seat of your pants,
Right.
not knowing if you could register for multiple groups, not knowing if you could register for multiple pre-sales, because you could only register for one pre-sale in a group. So say I'm a Beehive member, I'm
Hmm.
also a
And you city
verified.
group and you
And
Ticketmaster.
yeah, what if
Hmm.
we have all three? Can I register for all three of those? No,
Hmm.
you can only do one.
And which is unfair, but it is democratic. What I mean by
Right.
that is because if I can do that, let's just say let's just say you were Beehive and you were Citigroup and you were Ticketmaster, right? And let's say you knew ahead of time that you could sign up for Group A, Group B, Group C.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if you knew ahead of time that you could do multiple, you could do VPN and you could
Mm-hmm.
do hide my email and all these tricks of the trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you know that, guess who else knows that?
The bots know it.
All the bots know ahead of
No,
time. And so
no.
they will go through the process of set all these things up 2 and 3 and 4 and 20 times over to where it's like the same problem.
Yeah.
With this way, it sucks that you regular people have to kind of figure this out, but at least you regular people are the only ones that can figure this out versus
Right.
having everything laid out, ironed out, ruled out. That gives people time to create and do
True.
what they do.
True.
Yeah.
And I hadn't thought about that because if they laid out all the rules and people could make bots to circumvent those rules. So
Right.
I get it, why it was done the way it was done. I think it was definitely a more democratic way to make sure that people didn't go in and snap up all the tickets and
Hmm.
resell them at a higher rate. But
Hmm.
still, again, all the confusion around it
Yeah. Right. Right.
was
Right.
was a lot.
Nobody
And
likes to be in the dark. Yeah.
right. And then it's unfortunate, that a lot of people who are like, I've been in the Beehive for 35 years and I
Hmm.
didn't get no code. But I'm like, it sucks, but that is the fairest way to do it. Put
Right.
everybody
Everybody ain't
on a
gonna.
level
Yeah.
playing field. And it's just like, is your number called? And that's
Yeah.
like playing the money lottery. So
Right.
I get it, and I understand why they did it the way they did it. It just was quite traumatic. And everybody that I talk to that I know that gone through the process, people that I've met on Twitter, about it, it's just like it really is like crazy. And then the
Right.
other part is she's still adding dates.
Right.
So, but you can't pre-register for them because the registration's closed. So
Right.
it's just a thing of,
Now what?
what do I do? Do I
Hmm.
just log in a Ticketmaster on a certain day?
Hmm.
Because like we couldn't get the Paris tickets, but then there's a Barcelona date.
And then maybe there's Miami and there's San Francisco and there's New York and there's,
Well, so for the for the
Toronto.
for the for
Yeah.
the for the US, it's just general sale, that's when it's open. But for like some of the international ones, if you want it, it's the old, from what I can tell, for the international, it's like the old way. Because
Okay.
if you click on, so I did it, I went to the website and I clicked on the Paris register link, and it took me directly to the US dates. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering how I turn on the VPN. I may try that. Turn on the
Mm-hmm.
VPN and click on the register. Well, you can't register now because all the registration's closed. But it's something to keep in mind. Like, is this going to be the standard or is it going to
Mm-hmm.
change again? Because now that the bots know and people
Mm-hmm.
have time to like do this,
They got
it's
to switch it up
they
again.
have to switch it up because
Yeah.
again, I've just seen rumors. I like Beyonce, love Beyonce, she's cool, but Rihanna is my actual fave.
Oh, really?
She's
I did not know
yeah,
that.
yes,
Over Beyonce.
yes.
So we don't have time, but whatever.
I
We'll
was
do
just
it
I was
anyway.
just saying that she has a it's rumored that she has a concert coming out later this year. So I think it may be some overlap with Beyonce, but she'll be kicking off her tour when Beyonce's is winding down, and then
Mm-hmm.
she'll take the rest of the year because I think the last Beyonce date is September, maybe
Mm-hmm. Okay.
August, somewhere around that time. And then once she wraps up, then Rihanna kicks off. Rihanna hasn't done any music or any touring in 7 or 8 years, so that's going to be another big thing. So it's just like apparently that it's going to be announced after her Super Bowl performance on
Right.
Sunday,
Which that's what I was
which
going to
makes
bring
sense.
up. Um, I mean, are you looking forward to the Super Bowl, specifically Rihanna's halftime show, the little music that she has put out?
So the
What was your
catalog is
thoughts on
huge.
that?
So she has
Okay.
a huge catalog. So she
Okay.
has like nine albums. She just
Okay.
hasn't done anything since her last one, which I think was 2016, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
she's
I'm
been she's
chuckling.
been making billions with Fenty
Other
everything and
stuff,
having a baby
which
and yeah.
which look, more power to you. I would prefer celebrities, artists at the very least, especially in the music industry, get their money elsewhere because the music industry is still
Music is
kind of
not it.
shady, right? But the little music she's put out since, the only thing I can think of is the Black Panther stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing she's put out recently, Black Panther.
I'm laughing because I've seen a lot of people not get tired of the song, but make mention to if she sings that intro to the Black Panther, that "Lift Me Up" song. What's the song? Is
It's
it
Lift
called
Me
"Lift
Up.
Me Up"? Okay, they are gonna lose it because they played out already because it was in Black Panther. I
Yeah.
mean, what is your
I think she's just
okay?
going to go to her catalog
You
because
think so?
people
Okay.
there's music that people expect to hear from her,
Hmm.
some of her, bigger hits. So I think she said, I think no, Ryan Coogler said that he specifically asked her to do the song. She
At the
wasn't
Super Bowl.
no, to do the song
Oh, in
for Black
period
Panther.
for the song for the movie.
Right,
Okay.
because she wasn't
Okay.
doing music,
Right.
and
Right. Right. Right.
she
Right. Right.
had
Right.
told other people who were trying to get her to do stuff no, and he said he asked her himself as a person who knows her,
Yeah. Yeah.
would you
Yeah.
do the song?
Right.
And she
The
said yeah, and
impact.
he told us
Yeah.
it's a song that's dedicated to Chadwick and all those
Uh-huh.
things.
Right.
So of
Right.
course
Right.
she
And
said
it's
yes.
Black Panther.
Yeah,
Who would flippantly pass up an opportunity to be a
yeah.
part of Black Panther?
Well,
Well,
if it was anybody, it'd be her because they wanted her to do the Super Bowl for years, and she always told them no.
yeah. I mean, but like
Are you talking about
with
for
Black
Black?
Panther,
But the way Black Panther is, yeah,
right? I don't
yeah,
think she would have just flippantly
yeah,
said no.
yeah,
It was she would have been, let me consider it. Let me consider
yeah,
it long and hard, and then maybe
yeah.
eventually come to no. Or it's Black Panther, so why not?
She said yes, yeah, and she has a son
Yeah.
now, so all that kind of
Right.
goes into all of
Yeah.
that. But yeah,
All
so
right.
yeah, it should
You
be
got
fun.
since it's this weekend, you got plans for the Super Bowl?
Honestly, I don't. I don't
Okay.
know what I'm gonna do. I'll just figured I'd just wing it and kind
Okay.
of see what's what come Sunday
All right.
because
All
I
right.
don't know. And then it's just like it's weird being out on Super Bowl because the game is so late and I'm old. It's like at this point, it's just like, do I really? Because before I was like, yeah, Super Bowl party up. I
So would
remember
you have
when
had the same stance if the Cowboys would have went to the Super Bowl, or would you still be like, yeah, I don't know, or would you
I
be
go
like,
out.
I'll figure it out?
I go out because there are a couple cowboy bars in the
Oh, yeah, are
city
they
that are
specifically
specific. Yep.
Cowboys?
There are
Oh, I didn't
several.
know that. I didn't
And
know
there are
that.
several Philly bars. There's I think it's a Pittsburgh bar. So there are
Hmm.
certain bars throughout the city that are solely dedicated to a particular team, and people congregate and have fun
Okay.
and
All right.
whatnot. So yeah, so yeah,
All right. Well, we that was a good little conversation. We ran a little bit long, but I think it was worth it. We
it was
may
worth it.
split this out into its own little video because I think it's interesting, because we have just dealt with the normal process.
Hmm.
So at the very least, it's interesting to see somebody trying something different, and the excitement, because I'm pretty sure you were uh, excited and
Hmm.
maybe even a little prideful that you were one of the faithful few to actually score some tickets. Now, I ain't say you going on Twitter and gloating or anything like that, but I'm pretty
Right.
sure once the tickets hit the inbox and it actually your credit card was charged, I'm pretty sure, similar to iPhone, similar to sneaker games, it's a little bit of,
I
I did
posted
that.
about it. I
Yeah.
posted.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
like,
All
be
right.
I
All right.
posted on I just posted Beyonce tickets secured. Now my
Mm-hmm.
brother, who's a Beyonce super fan,
Mm-hmm.
and my cousin, they both posted stories about securing tickets and stuff too. I just typed up something because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
after going through all the trouble, I was like,
Take a break.
I'll let them do the post. And they tagged
Mm-hmm.
me in it. I didn't even repost it, but I was like, after all of the work it took to get it done, I will
Because
let y'all do
mhm.
the gloating part.
Yeah, but there is something about get having something coveted that nobody else
Yeah.
has
Or
or
very few
was
people have.
can't or couldn't get.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. There are some people out there that were poking fun, which what the internet does,
Right.
poking fun at people, jumping through hoops to get these
Yeah.
Beyonce tickets, almost on the tip of, I wouldn't do anything like that. I got a mortgage to pay and I
But
got,
let their favorite artist come up
and that's the point I was going to bring
or
up,
their
like
thing.
with the iPhone, there are people who will camp out overnight in a tent in the cold just to get a funky phone, right?
Hmm.
There are people who will camp out overnight
And
and
how much will you pay
fight
for that phone?
and fight and rob people for some sneakers. There are people, like you said, people who will, freak out and spend exorbitant amount of money to go to a concert. So it's the same. It's just that if it's something that you think is, well, I don't wear sneakers. I don't see how y'all could
Yeah.
wear Jordans and yada yada
Y'all on
yada. But
that
yet,
sneaker app all times, and
me
y'all don't never get them. You lose every time. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the newest gaming console comes out, and buying two or three for your 5-year old for
Yeah.
Christmas who don't even have the motor skills to work
To
the
do the
joystick,
controllers.
right? So it's like, relax, man. Let
Yeah.
people have their time.
Don't yuck
Everybody's got to
anybody's yum. Let
right,
people have some joy in their life.
especially if it ain't harming nobody. Right now, I
Right.
could no. One thing if your vice is some crack, right? That's
Right.
we need you to come back to us, right? But if you just buying concert tickets or you waiting for this new game to
Whatever
come
your
out,
thing is.
right, man, and
Life
you
is
ain't
life is rough. Let it people
right.
have find the joy in whatever
Hmm.
it is they enjoy doing.
Yep. So, like I said, I was definitely interested in this story because, again, like I mentioned, this is something new. Rooting for the underdog, even though Beyonce,
Yeah.
that don't seem to go together. But going up against Ticketmaster, trying to call her own shots against like a Ticketmaster and a Live Nation, where they would just be like, "Nah, this is how we do things." It's interesting.
And I will say one thing I don't think I pointed out. No, I did. I think I talked about it last week where she had the Club Renaissance things in LA and they were giving away the free tickets.
Yeah, you were going trying to go.
So,
Yeah.
right. And it was like, I think her original plan was to do the tickets outside of Ticketmaster, do her own ticketing process. And
Hmm.
I think when she tried that that Renaissance Club thing,
That was the
whatever,
test
I think
trial.
that was a test run and it was a spectacular fail.
Okay,
It was
gotcha.
bad because you had to upload an
ID.
ID
That's yeah,
to
right.
like
I remember that part.
verify who you are, and the API kept crashing because of the
Yeah.
sheer volume. And I think they probably realized at that point,
You
let's
need a
let this
whole
ticketing
data center
thing
for this.
be like a future type of
Right.
endeavor, because
Hmm.
right now we don't have the bandwidth for that. Let's just
Yeah.
do the best we can, get the best deal we can with Ticketmaster, Live Nation, and because I think Jay-Z owns part of Live Nation or did or something funky.
I
Anyway,
he probably had a at one point had a minority stake in it,
yeah,
possibly.
yeah. But I think he had to let that go when he did the sports management, or because he has,
Probably.
yeah, something. Anyway, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just to say that people, it's interesting that the cross section of technology literally in everything that we do. And again,
Hmm.
when we talked about Apple with the crash detection innovation, when people are trying to innovate, you're undoubtedly going to have some
Yep.
failures. And then you
Uh-huh.
go back to
We're
the
the guinea
table and you try
pigs.
something new.
Uh-huh.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
And she wouldn't have known. They probably thought that that system they had was tight. It was
Right.
ready. It was good. Because why else would you put it out there? Why else would you
Right.
test it if you didn't think it? And then they saw that they did not have the capacity
Right.
for the volume, the authentication of the IDs, the API. They was like, "Yo, let's just
we
go back
gotta we
to
gotta we
master."
gotta yeah, we gotta partner with
Yeah, someone
Ticketmaster and them
else who
because
has
they
this. Yeah,
right. And then like you said, down the road we'll
yeah,
fire up our own data center in Wyoming somewhere just for Beyonce
right,
tickets.
right. Yeah, yeah.
All right, all right. Well, that's going to do it for the show. I had to hook up, but I think the that Nica story was a little bit more interesting than my hookup. Maybe I'll save it for next week. So we're going to
Cool.
end on that note. We definitely appreciate y'all hanging out. Nica, tell folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva on all the social media platforms.
All right. And you can find me at Brother Tech, is BROTHATCH. If you want to follow the show, you can go to snobOS Cast on all the social media websites and platforms. If you want to find out any additional information, like listen to the latest episodes, support us financially, find out what we're talking about in Discord, you can join our Discord community. You can do all that by going to snoboscast.com to get all that information. And until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.